Hi, this is John and welcome back to the Contemplative Commuter as you join me in a little bit of a traffic jam. So this is a follow-on video from my last upload, which I was talking about how I've lost around about 5 stone or 70 pounds over the last few years. A quick recap that I've really changed my mind on how you get to the body weight that's right for you and makes you happy, because everybody knows the logic of move more and eat less. But the more I've thought about this, it's how you control your environment and your emotions that really gets you to the place you want to be. So breaking that down, how did I control my environment? Well, ultimately I didn't ask McDonald's to shut down all their restaurants or to ask Haribo to stop stocking their delicious treats in all of the shops I visited. How I manipulated my environment was more of what could I control on a day-to-day basis, and it came down to maybe a strange one, how I controlled those I interacted with, and also how I controlled my dead time on my commute. So looking at how I controlled those around me, and I'll come on to kind of the diet plan that fitted for me, which was keto and low carb. I made it very public on what I was trying to achieve with my diet, and more specifically what my diet was. So I kind of became the person at work who didn't eat carbohydrates, and it also became a little bit of a joke about I didn't eat bread and didn't eat potatoes and all that kind of thing. But what was strange about this, or actually helpful for the goal I was trying to achieve, people kept asking me questions about my diet, and it kind of reinforced to me how I should be eating. And that's continued over the last few years. So it helped me stay on the right track by making what I was trying to achieve really, really public, because then those around me supported me. Not that they were deliberately trying to do so, but it cropped up in conversation. They'd remind me at lunch times, we'd laugh about it, we'd talk about it. So control those around you is how you can, and I hate the term, but hack your environment. The other little thing I did was I started to pay more attention to what I was, or how I was eating, how I was exercising. But my commute to and from work, you know, I spend a lot of time in the car. I started to listen to a lot of podcasts that were focused around ketogenic or low carbohydrate diets, or just generally diet and exercise. I listen to them all the time. I still listen to them, everything from kind of the Mind Pump guys all the way through to Joe Rogan, Rhonda Patrick. But listening to those podcasts, that was something I control in my environment, but it reinforced the thought process and made me focus a little bit more on what I ate, what I drank, and how I exercised. The other little thing, and there is research on this, I monitored myself a lot more. And by that, you know what, no one likes doing it, and it's not a great way to monitor things like body fat. But I did get on the scales every day. I started using apps like MyFitnessPal, because they again constantly reinforce what you're trying to do and just remind you as well of where you want to get to. So monitoring is a really important part of your environment. So think about the things that you can control, and you can control the conversations you have with others, you can control how you monitor yourself, and you can control the kind of media that you intake each day that can either hinder or help your progress. So that's my kind of ideas around environment. What was the more critical one though was how I controlled my emotions. So going into this in a little bit more detail, all of us have that gremlin inside of us who loves pleasure. And by that, I mentioned this in the last video, it is a lot more pleasurable to sit on the couch watching Netflix, eating chocolate. But you've got to try and negotiate with that gremlin who wants to do that all the time. And this is how I arrived at kind of more of a ketogenic, low carbohydrate lifestyle, because there was 2 points of negotiation I had with my inner gremlin. And one of them's changed slightly, which was, well, why do I actually want to lose weight? And it was kind of all the standard answers or the glib answers that I give, which was, oh, it'll make me feel better, it'll be better for my health. But do you know what? If I was really, really honest with myself, it was pure and unadulterated vanity. So I had to kind of appeal to that gremlin of what we were going to embark on would help me look better at the end of the day. I wasn't so, maybe a few years ago, concerned with the health aspects of weight loss. It was the drive for vanity, but I was very, very honest with myself. But then I had to look at the gremlin loved to eat chocolates, sweets, Doritos, McDonald's, all of those kind of foods that was making me fat and keeping me fat. And ultimately, getting to a healthy weight is 80 to 85% of what you eat. So I had to sit down and really had to think about, what do I like to eat? That might sound like a really, really stupid question, but some of my favourite foods were things like steak, burgers, I did like my veg, like broccoli and cauliflower. But the more I thought about it, I did quite like meats and high-fat products. I love scrambled eggs, loved omelettes, and that pointed me towards, well, this is how I started the negotiation. If I was going to stop eating things like breads, Haribos, remove sugar from my diet, how could I negotiate with the gremlin who didn't want to let go of those things? And it was that kind of point, and it sounds, again, so bizarre. Well, I wasn't going to give up a lot of things and maybe eat a little bit more of them, of the things the gremlin did like, the steaks, the burgers, the meats. So that's what made me arrive at a ketogenic low-carb diet, because I realised I loved eating that type of food. And how I've evolved that diet, I'll make an upload on, because I probably started off eating quite dirty. So, like I said, steak sounds quite healthy, but on the flip side, I was also eating a lot of trans fats, because I was eating pork scratchings for snacks, things like that, which isn't great. But what it did do was help me get to the body weight I wanted, and it was ultimately, if I look back on it, it was probably because I was in a calorie deficit, because low-carb ketogenic diet does alter your kind of hunger level, so you probably ate less, but it did help me get to the weight I wanted to be, and it also was something that was sustainable for me that I could keep going with. So think about, I'm not saying that you should go low-carb ketogenic, but think about how you can negotiate with that voice inside you that just wants to eat the bad things that give immediate pleasure. I've also moved on from the emotion side. So like I said, I really focused on the vanity side of weight loss, but that's quite a short-term goal. And I've moved more towards thinking longer term, and this is the sustainability. And again, it's getting that voice inside me, the gremlin, aligned with, well, do you know what, when I'm old, this isn't so much to do with kind of the health immediate aspects of how I feel on a day-to-day basis, but I looked at maybe some of the people around me who were a little bit older, who had dodgy hips or grunted when they got out of a chair or complained about a bad back. And there is a part of me that I want to live to a ripe old age, but also I want to kind of enjoy the things I like doing now, which is walking my dog, going to the gym. I still want to be able to do that in 20, 30 years. So how I exercise and how I eat now, I'm playing the long game. It's about longevity, but it comes back to the environment side. The things I read, the things I listen to now on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis are really to do with longevity, and again that helps me keep on track with my diet and my exercise. So maybe that's my top tips is, yes, of course, try and get yourself in a slight caloric, or God, I can't even speak today, get yourself in a calorie deficit through diet and exercise manipulation. That is the logical part of how you will hit your weight goals, how you will get to look or get the body you want. But really think about the environment you live in, what you can control, and also how you negotiate with yourself. The emotional side will really truly keep the weight off and keep you on the right track. I'm going to make some more videos in relation to this, especially because it's such a hot topic. My thoughts on the ketogenic diet or low carb diet and how I have evolved that over time from maybe doing quite an unhealthy ketogenic approach that did hit my weight loss goals, but how I've altered that to more of a plant-based ketogenic approach that I think is far healthier. So subscribe, like, leave me feedback, but I'd love it if you'd join me on my next upload, which will kind of be going a little bit deeper into that ketogenic approach. Thanks again, and yeah, goodbye, and I'll speak to you soon.